Hi everybody, this is Curly, better known as Gyat for this video. Today we're going to be doing a Thinking Like a Top 500. What I wanted to accomplish with this is I want you guys to get into my mental space on like what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, right? And I think that's very, very great for lower ranking players to like see and to really understand. That's my whole point, is to get you guys to understand why players do what they do, right? Why top players do what they do. Go run you through their mental processes. So I'm a top 500 tank player, and today we're going to be going over Hazard, as you can see. So Hazard is a very versatile character. So he works well in a lot of different comps. You can play him in so many different ways, which is why I really enjoy playing Hazard, is because there's not one set way to play a Hazard, right? There's so many different ways. You can play him more like a brawly character, more of a dive character. Poke, not so much. But in a couple other comps, you can make Hazard work, and you can make Hazard work against most other comps. Hazard just, his weaknesses, in my opinion, are like mostly poke comps, and sometimes against brawl comps if they're very, very well coordinated, because Hazard works off of chaos, right? If there's a lot of people spread around and there's a lot of chaos happening, there's a lot of shit happening in Overwatch, that's where Hazard thrives. That's where he gets the most amount of value, is when both of their supports are focused on something else. They're focused on healing the tank, and now all of a sudden you come in there and you don't do any damage to the tank, but you go in there and you get a quick elim on their soldier, their Cassidy, their whatever. That's where Hazard really thrives, is really doing that burst damage to confirm eliminations. So whenever I'm loading into an Overwatch game, the very first things I think about is, what map are we playing? What tanks are good on that map? What tanks am I good at that I can play on this map? Those are the very first three things I think about. A lot of people I pick are map-dependent characters, right? Like King's Row. Who do you think we're going to play on King's Row? That's right, Hazard, because we're a goddamn one trick. No. Of course, we're going to, you're going to force Reinhardt, right? That's just the people. That's what the people want. That's what the people need. So whenever I load into a map, I go through that little list in my head. And let's just say it's in an extremely good ball map. I don't know what map that is, but let's just say it is. I'm awful at ball. I am not going to force ball on this map, even though I know ball's good on it. Fuck that, dude. I'd rather play a tank that I'm good at on a map that he's okay at, right? You don't sacrifice your own play to try and fit a meta, try and fit map what map compositions typically are ran. Even sometimes for your own comp, let's just say you're playing DPS and your team wants you to play Mei, and you're a hard hit scan player. You've never played a projectile in your life. You can try it, but if you know that you're god awful at Mei, do not force it. Find somebody else that will work just as fine, like a Cassidy in that type of comp, to really try and find a happy medium between what your team needs and what you need, okay? Don't just completely give yourself over to your team, because they might ask you to play certain things that you just aren't good at. Characters that you just aren't good at, and you know that you're not good at them, and you know if you play them, you're going to be throwing. Do not just concede to your team to whatever they need. Like, obviously, if you can play the character, let's just say, we're going to go back to the Mei one. Let's just say you are playing Widowmaker, and they want you to play Mei, and you know that you're a good enough Mei. Swap to the Mei, right? But don't play characters that you know that you're just awful at, just because your team wants you to, right? Find a common ground, find a happy medium, and work off of that. So that leads me into my next thing. Once I go through that little list of things that like I'm thinking about as soon as I'm loading into a map, very next thing is team composition. What is my team running? Who's going to synergize with me? How am I going to synergize with them? And how am I going to work around this, right? Like, don't load into a map and be surprised, but oh my god, we have Lucio Zenyatta healing after the first point. Maybe that's why we lost. You should have known that before you even got to the first point. You need to always be clicking tab, figuring out who your team's running, and figure out who the enemy team's running. So in the very first fight, typically I do one of two things. Depending on map and depending on your composition, you can either take as much space as you can, and then figure out their team comp, or you can play a little bit slower, figure out their team comp, and then try and diagnose a weakness in their team comp to take advantage of it. So, always know who your team's running, always know who the enemy team's running. Now, off of that, you need to figure out, once the game gets going, what abilities does your and the enemy team have? What ultimates does yours and the enemy team have? Because let's just say they were running on a Genji, right? And you know Nano Blade's coming up. Well, you can do one of two things when you're trying to counter a Nano Blade. You can either have the ult stacked up to counter it, or, I mean, you could get lucky with an ability like an on sleep dart, but I'm not going to rely on my on to sleep them. Or you can try and eliminate one of them before they even get the Nano Blade off. Oh my god, crazy. So, what I want you to do, what I want you to be thinking about is like whenever fights are done, think about, okay, what ultimates are they going to have for this next fight? Oh, they have Nano Blade. We should put a lot of pressure to try and eliminate either their Ana or their Genji before they can even get the Nano Blade off. And if they do Nano Blade in that fight, let's just say you're diving on the Ana, and the Ana is just like, I'm going to fucking die. I need to nano this Genji now. Well, now, the Genji's probably not expecting it. The Genji's not ready for it. The Genji's not set up for it. So now you get a little bit more value off of it, because hopefully you guys do confirm that elimination on the Ana. Makes it a little bit easier for you guys to come back on that Nano Blade, because the Genji wasn't set up. He wasn't ready for it. He gets nanoed regardless. And now all of a sudden, Genji's fucking fiddling around with his dick, trying to figure out what to do in that situation. So causing chaos in Overwatch typically is a good thing. So now we're going to be looking at my gameplay. So we were just getting rolled for the first minute, right? Super disjointed, not really knowing what our team's doing. But now I know, in my head, I know exactly what comp they're running. And you're going to see here, once I click play, which I will not bore you guys to death with a lecture. Once you see me here, right? Very first thing I do is I make mental notes. I'm like, Sojourn here, Cass here. I hear their Juno shooting across here, and I see Ball. I have no idea where the Kiriko's at. Obviously, we can see her here. But whenever you're playing a high mobility character like Hazard, like Tracer, like Sombra, you want to be poking and prodding, figuring out who is where and what abilities do they have. So in my head, I mark the Sojourn, the Cassidy, and the Ball, and the Juno back there. So you guys should always be doing that, scouting out, figure out who's where and what do they have. At this point in the game, I'd be surprised if anybody had ultimates, but, you know, crazier shit's happened. So I'm coming over here, I know the Sojourn's all by herself, I hear Ball diving my backline, right? I know Ball just dove my backline, and he was doing that for the first fight, that's why we got so disjointed, and so now I'm like, okay, Ball just used his abilities to go in, and he dove on my team, and my team made it out relatively unscathed. This is giving me an opportunity to see if I can do anything with this, right? This is giving me an opportunity to be like, okay, their Ball just went in. Is there any weak points in the enemy team? So right here, immediately I poke out here, and I'm trying to scout to see where everybody's at. The Sojourn, I know, is probably the furthest away from her team. That's why I immediately look over at the Sojourn, because usually the enemy team stacks up on this right side to use the fire truck as cover, using the stairs. So I know the Sojourn was playing over here, and I know that's probably going to be the furthest person away from her team. So coming over here, immediately I'm looking over that Sojourn, because I know that's the person who's going to be the furthest away from her team, so it's going to be the hardest for her to get help, and I'm going to be looking to maybe wall her. But as you can see right here, I see their Cassidy playing very close, and I did not know their Kiriko was here. But if I would have known their Kiriko was here immediately, I would have gone after them right away, because his slash does so much burst damage, and it does so much damage, and it just gets him a really, really good matchup against two people. If he can jump slash two people and immediately go into his block, you can do so much damage in a crazy amount, in a quick amount of time, that you can confirm so many elims by doing that. So here, I get lucky by them stacking on top of each other, and immediately I go into my block. I go into my block because I want to pressure this Kiriko out and away, right? I want her to get as far away from this Cassidy as possible. And if I were just to shoot at this Cassidy, right? If I was just to shoot at him, the Kiriko would be able to out-heal. And if I was just to shoot at the Kiriko, well, now the Cassidy's fully healed, and then the Kiriko gets out. So immediately I go into this block to take that 70% damage reduction and to do damage to both of them simultaneously, putting as much pressure on them as possible, right? And you saw right there, I deemed that Kiriko was the bigger threat here. I wanted the Kiriko gone. So when they started to split up, I immediately went towards the Kiriko, and as soon as she TPs, I went towards the Cassidy, right? And so here, I messed up. I should have just went for the slash on the Cassidy, but I did another thing. I walled the Cassidy off from his team, so now he can't get any healing from his teammates right now. As you can see, they're trying to heal him, but because this wall's up, can't. So now I'm getting a soft little reset to get my abilities, get my HP back before I go in and commit on this Cassidy. So I get pretty well damaged, but at the end of the day, we kill the Cassidy because I walled him off from his support. Okay? So, I see the ball's weak here. I'm just going hard after ball because I want to just quickly get that elimination. That ball's just too far away from me. I don't have my slash up, so there's no reason for me to continue to hone in on that ball. I don't think I was going to be able to kill him here. So I just let him go free. Especially if he wasn't getting healed by a support, I would have definitely stayed on that ball. Here, I misplayed a little bit. I should have shot my wall more to the right to really prevent that Sojourn from leaving here. You want to play Hazard, kind of like May, and really just try and wall people off and prevent them from getting support, wall them off and prevent them from moving where they want to go. So just putting pressure on the Sojourn. I know Hazard works really well in close areas, so that's why I'm playing this left side over here. Instead of playing right side, there's a lot more space over here, a lot more distance to be covered, which Hazard's Leap would really cover that. If I knew anybody was really over here on a, in a 1v1, then I would consider it, but I don't know if anybody's actually over here at the moment, and I know the Sojourn's over here. And once again, Hazard works really, really well in tight spaces. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to play over here because this is where I'm taking the most advantage out of my character. Because I know characters on my team, like Yari, Ana, and Cassidy, both have enough range to really poke down whoever's going to be coming across this distance. From over here, it's a lot closer, a lot shorter, so it makes it a lot harder for them to get as much value as it does for me. It's a lot easier for me to get all that value because I'm a close range brawler. So the Sojourn just pops her ultimate. Immediately I go into that block. There's nothing I can do. The Sojourn's not weak. If the Sojourn was weak, then yeah, I would try and do, a slash combo, try and get her weak, or try and eliminate her. But I know she's not weak, so I'm just absorbing this damage, using my block, really hoping to get my wall back to just wall her off and, get this out of here. So now, as I was just saying, I know she isn't weak. But right here, I get a decent amount of HP back, so I'm like, okay, what I could do here is now pressure her out of here, and if I get my wall back in time, that's really awesome, but I'm going to try and pressure her out of here, and use my block just to get the fuck out, if I need to, with her ult being up. So I come in here, get my little slash off, immediately go into my block, I'm like, okay, now I got her out of here, she's no longer a threat. So once I got my HP back, right, you need to think about your hit points as a resource. It's the same thing as having any type of ability or any type of ultimate. You need to look at all these things down here at the bottom of your screen as resources. They're all things that help you win fights, all things that help you win 1v1s, right? So once I got more of this resource back, I decided to engage because my other resources were about to be coming back. So come back, wall it off, don't want to be dealing with it anymore. I hear the Cassidy over here, whiff a shot, it's cool, it happens. So just remember, like I said earlier, Hazard is an agent of chaos. He really likes to take advantage of anything chaotic, any chaotic fights, any chaotic situations. That's where Hazard really excels. Hazard also really excels in just playing hyper-aggressive. You see here, a lot of low-ranking players, what they do is they just go back and sit on the cart. They win the fight, they go back and sit on the cart. Okay, cool. Now what happens? Now, what the enemy team does is now they take the high ground. And now the enemy team is set up for the next fight, all because your team didn't take the high ground. So what I'm doing here is I'm really setting up my team for success, playing as aggressively as I can, because I know my slash, which is a very, very great movement ability, is on a 4-second cooldown. So if I jump up here, I'm going to have my slash to get out in, a couple of seconds, right? And I also have my block and my wall. So he has a lot of sustainability by just existing and using abilities. So I'm coming up here to take as much space as I can, because space is another one of these things, guys. Another one of resources. You need to view space as a resource. If you can take the space, take it. Don't go into their spawn. This is dumb. Their spawn door is right there. Going up here is dumb. Let me emphasize that. Going out here is smart, because the cart needs to end here. And if you and your teammates can hold them right here the entire time, guess what? That cart just gets to move for free throughout a majority of the map, right? And if you get pressure too hard, just leave, okay? Just jump out, leave, do something else. It's all about the amount of damage you're taking and your ability management and your resource management. That's all it is managing your resources up here. And if you can manage them well, you can get a lot of eliminations, pick them off before the fight even starts. If you can make it a 4v5 before the fight even starts, that's beautiful. That means that they're already in the fucking negative and you're in the positive. And most of the time, you win 4v5 fights, okay? Especially when you get the first elimination. So, really try and play around that. So, as you can see here, I got pressured out a lot, so guess what I'm doing? I'm just getting the fuck out of dodge. Okay? I'm not overstaying my welcome. I thought I could maybe stay up there a little bit longer, but I couldn't, and that's okay. You need to feel out what the enemy team wants to do and how they're going to do it. It's a poke and prod game, guys. You need to try to do a little bit more than what you think you can sometimes. And if they hard counter you, or if they come at you and throw every single ability at you in the book, then don't do that anymore, right? Poke and prod. See what you can get away with. The more you can get away with, the more value you're going to be squeezing out of your character. So I fucked up my wall right there. After once I realized I fucked it up, I took it down, and my boy is just going to town. So right now is chaos. Always be watching up here to figure out who's dead and who's alive. With my slash, and I'm just gonna die here. Right? It happens. It happens. Chaos was happening, so I tried to make the most out of it, and I died. It happens, guys. Don't be afraid of dying. Right? Don't obviously turbo it and have 10 deaths per 10, but you guys need to be trying to make plays. Right? You guys need to try and make plays and get the most out of your heroes. So now, because we fucked up that fight, now they're taking the high ground over here, which is fine. Because we already fought them for this high ground initially. That fight that we just lost was for this high ground. If we would have won that fight, we would have stayed up on this high ground and continued to just really put pressure on them to try and take the high ground from us, or just to sit back and play in a more of a poke style back here, right? So either they were going to come up here to try and really push us off this high ground, or they were going to play more poke. Either way, guess what? We get all this free cart space because we took so much space. Okay? Space is a resource, guys. Remember that. Try to wall them off. Okay. So right now, shit's just going down. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out something here. Just trying to get some fucking schmoves happening. Didn't really happen. What I could have done there is I could have walled off the Cassidy from behind, and then I could have did a block to try and kill him. It's whatever. Guys, it happens. Shit was happening. Juno ult's just dumb strong. So here, messed up another wall. If I didn't mess up all these walls, I could have done so much better this game. So here, I'm just trying to pressure off the Kiriko. If that Kiriko was lower in HP, I would have dove them and tried to eliminate them. I was just really poking them out, right? I was seeing what HP did they have? Were they weak? Could I kill them? So I have more than one person here, so immediately I go into this block to do as much damage to as many people as possible. Just coming back here, just trying to live. Getting the little timing off. Cool. Looking back at this, I'm messing up a lot of my slashes and a lot of my walls. I'm slashing a little bit too early. What I should have been doing here is the bunny hop slash technique. So what I'm doing before I actually use my slash is I'm jumping, and then I go into my slash. What you should do for a lot of these things, if you don't need a lot of height mobility, if you want more longitudinal mobility, what you should do is use your leap, and then as you're landing, hold space to get the little bunny hop off, because it keeps up your momentum and keeps your slash available. So I'm messing up on that a lot this game, which I'm now realizing. This is one of the first games, not first, but one of the earlier games I played of Hazard. So I do mess up on some of his tech here. Okay, very first thing I see. Sojourn's all by herself. Sojourn's all by herself. Like, this is a great time to take advantage of the chaos. Remember, he's an agent of chaos. When shit's chaotic, you need to take advantage of it. So I cut off her exit, and I immediately go in for the slash, and I go for the kill here, right? I messed up my block. I shouldn't have used my block that early because then that put it on cooldown. It worked out for me because I ended up getting the elimination. My Reaper also got an elimination too, so that's him and I taking advantage of all this chaos, okay? We took advantage of the chaos, and we got 2 eliminations before the fight even started, guys. Super important, because now the rest of them are just going to crumble. Both their DPS are down, so that means they're going to be putting out not as much damage, and I'm going to be able to play super aggressively because there's not going to be as much damage, so this resource isn't going to drain nearly as fast. So I'm just coming back to get some healing. I see the Kiriko use her Suzu. I didn't have my jump off cooldown just yet, so I'm trying to figure out where this Kiriko's at and if I can kill her. I see the Juno healing the Kiriko, so I'm like, I don't think I'm going to try and kill the Kiriko because I see their tank super weak. The Juno was now focusing on the Kiriko to heal her. Sometimes it's good to swap targets like that. You don't need to just tunnel vision on one person. Figure out who's going to be the best for you at that time. So the Kiriko, I didn't trust it because I knew she still had teleport, and the Juno was actively healing her. So now I'm assuming this Ramatra's all by himself, so I go by, wall off the Ramatra, and just get an easy elimination. Okay, so that was my exact thought process there. Taking advantage of the chaos, guys. So I see both their DPS coming out, so I didn't continue to go after the Juno because I don't want to die here. He works very, very well in steamrolling. Steamrolling, steamrolling, steamrolling. So you cannot die prematurely while playing this guy. If you do, you are throwing, and you will not get very far with him because you need to be taking advantage of the chaos. Just trying to wall off the Sojourn. Just taking too much poke damage. Guys, don't forget, it's okay to move out of your position. If you need to, just do it. Move. So the Ramatra is going super aggressive. I'm trying to figure out what's happening out here. So I know the Ramatra's in on my team like that. I know he's in like that. So I'm looking at their backline. Is there anybody... So, looking back here to see if there's anybody easily that I can get elimination on. I see their Juno and their Cassidy's out here. Guess what? I'm not going to go after them. Because I know their Ram is going balls deep into my team. And I see the main support here. The person who's going to be pumping out... Well, the person who's really enabling this composition here. The person who allows Ramatra to get value in this comp is all the way back here. And I don't think I'm going to be able to kill their Cassidy because guess what? She's right there watching him. So I turned my attention back to the Ramatra because I know that the Ramatra isn't going to be getting the type of support that he needs. We easily get this elimination on him. I wall off the Cassidy's exit and eliminate the Cassidy. Okay? Easy. Coming back here. Just really taking advantage of all the chaos, guys. Taking advantage of all the chaos. Immediately goes in. Gets another kill on Cassidy, right? Chaos, chaos, chaos. We're playing aggressively. We are treating space as a resource because that's what it is. Space is a resource. The more you can get to it of it before the fight even starts, the better. So I know Sojourn just used her ultimate. Here I'm just trying to stay alive and using my abilities just to live at this point, right? So there's nobody else I could really shoot at, so I was just shooting at the ram. Here I see I know 4 things, right? 5 things. I know exactly where everybody's at. So I'm going to make a decision here to try and get the most amount of value. So guess where I go, guys? Yes, I go after the person who's all by themselves, the furthest away from anything, to make it as difficult as we can for the enemy supports to try and keep them up. Obviously, my Cassidy does a fantastic job here at eliminating the Juno in her own ult. So now this Kiriko is going to be a lot easier of elimination here, right? But guess what? It's never an easy elimination with Kiriko because she has 2 get out of jail free cards, her Suzu and her teleport. So as soon as I hear the Cassidy shoot his first shot, I'm like, okay, Cassidy's not an ult anymore, I can get active. So immediately here, I messed up my controls. I would have gone after the Juno if I didn't mess up my tech, right? If I would have done the / bunny hop to go after the Kiriko, that would have been so much better. But because I messed it up, I didn't think I was going to be able to reach the Kiriko, so I just go after the Cassidy, and I slash early. Remember, guys, this is one of my first games, well, not one of my first games, but I'm pretty green to hazard at this point. I've played many games since this, and I've gotten a lot better at the game. So learn from your mistakes, guys. I could have gotten so many more eliminations, put so much more pressure on them if I would have just done the B-hop method with them. So I know Kiriko has nothing on the Cassidy. No Suzu. Forget about going after the tank, guys. You see, remember, Splash does an AoE effect, right? Not splash damage. It does an AoE effect. I see 2 supports. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to slash both the supports to really put a lot of pressure on them. Okay? So now I know the Kiriko just used Suzu on the Cassidy, and she just used TP to come out here to go get this ram. So guess what I do? Right? I force abilities out of the enemy team, and then I take advantage of it. I force, take advantage. Once I use the resources that I want them to use, I take advantage of it by playing around it. Okay? So here, I just use my wall to block off the ram. With the Kiriko ult going up, I have to play a little bit more passively here, just try to get some sort of value. But as soon as I see them anti the ram, I'm like, okay, we can get a little bit more aggressive here. So here, I fed. It happens, right? I should have kept my block through a little bit longer, but I didn't, and for it, I die. And so my Yari ults in the spawn, and I'll just show you guys this because it's kind of comical. I'm just staring her down, and then she dies, and I look back at her, and then I just sigh. I just sighed at her. I was like, what the fuck you doing, dog? I like playing Overwatch like it's The Office sometimes, where I like overexpress my emotions by like doing that type of shit, just in case if someone comes back to the replay viewer and watches my POV at that time, they'll get a chuckle out of it. Right? So I just forced Kiriko to use teleport. Fantastic. So I know Kiriko doesn't have teleport anymore. At least for the next however many seconds. Playing him like a May, guys. My DPS are doing a great job at getting elims and taking advantage of the chaos with me. So I just saw them use Suzu. Just going to go in, walling off the Sojourn. So the reason why I walled her off over here is because that's the only opportunity I had, right? I don't want her to be able to play both sides. Realistically, this is the better one to do, but actually, you know what? Fuck it. We're not going to include that. So we're just walling off the Sojourn, coming in here. Just stare her down. Because I thought she was just going to sit it there and just accept defeat, but she didn't, so I had to actually play. And we do a nice, good little tear it down, right? So just fast forwarding. Okay. So, the way you need to play him is you need to play like a vulture. You need to be utilizing as much high ground as possible, figuring out who's weak, who doesn't have abilities to counter you, and then really just go after them and put a lot of pressure on them as much as humanly possible. Okay? So, very first thing I'm going to be doing right now is figuring out who they have. So I'm like, okay, they have a Tracer, they have a Zarya, they have a Lucio. Very first thing's going through my head. Now I'm thinking about, okay, who counters me here? Nobody immediately counters me here, so I'm going for a play. If they had a Cassidy here, or if they had a Bastion here, I wouldn't be doing this. But they don't. So immediately I'm going for the play. And it works out, right? I just take full advantage of that Lucio, and we just roll him, okay? Body blocking the Zarya. Just going in, guys. Taking advantage of the chaos. That's all you gotta do, is take advantage of the chaos, but don't overextend, feed, and die. I think in this game, I overextend a lot and feed a little bit too much in certain situations, but it all works out for us. And I teabag that Sojourn because I know she was definitely frustrated in this game, especially with me cutting off her exit multiple times, so she just kind of, you know, she's crashing out a little bit. So here, I overextend here, right? We can all agree I got too greedy here. I overextended, played too much into them, and so I lost a shitload of HP there. I should have died. This was a bad play by me. I shouldn't have done that. I should have taken what they gave me and then left. So take what the enemy team gives you, chat. Did I just call you guys chat? You're YouTube. Whatever. Take whatever the enemy team gives you, guys. Don't force too much. You can force things once in a while when you need shit to be done, but take what they give you. Try not to force anything. So I see my Reaper's getting out, so I'm going to have to get active here to prevent him from dying. Okay. I took a little bit too long to get active there. Should have got active before he even came out of his Wraith, because then the entire enemy team would have been looking at me and not him. So it took me a little bit too long to get active here. I should have got active a little bit faster because I have a lot more, you know, sustainability than the Reaper does. So I need to take the aggression off him and put it on myself. So here, I do not like this play. I don't remember if it works out for me, but this is a bad play because I'm using my movement ability to get in there and get aggressive, right? And I also don't have my other ability, right? I have two key abilities that I just don't have off cooldown at this moment. So this is a bad, bad, bad engagement. Additionally, you know, they have one of their supports right here who has Suzu. So even if he was weak and I was going on him and I was just about to kill him, Suzu would save him. So this is just all around a bad engagement. My team's not going to be able to help me out very much, and I'm not even going to be able to help myself out. So this is a bad engagement. I should have waited for my cooldowns to come back a little bit more, and then I could have engaged, and then I could have tried and make stuff happen. Okay? Bad engagement by myself. It works out for me, but just because it works doesn't mean it was the right thing to do, guys. Bad engagement. Proud of myself for not jumping in there and trying to get an elimination. But here, this is also a bad play by me, right? Playing up here is not good for me. I'm not playing in close quarters. There's long sight lines, so even if I were to use jump to get out, there's long sight lines for them to burst me down at. And it's just all around not good. Playing up here with hazards is not great. Now, if you were to play up here a little bit more, to play on this high ground to really prevent anybody from coming into this window, then you can use your jump to get out a little bit better and wall behind you, and then you could get out. And then this is a little bit better. So I like playing up here because it allows you to play in a little bit more of an aggressive position while allowing your team to have a bunch of space to do things, right? Space, remember guys, is a resource. Giving your team space, giving your team map control really means the difference between winning and losing, really means the difference between a good tank and a bad tank. So, playing right here, not a great idea for Hazard. Playing up top where my Reaper's at is a great idea. And I think I do that eventually. Right now. Kiriko, no abilities. And I dropped the wall to kind of like tempt the Sojourn to come back up here. You know, I kind of tempt her to come back up here by dropping the wall. Once again, not a huge fan of this. I should have just went back up into the window, got healed, got my abilities back, and then went in, right? I'm too low on resources to be taking this fight. Do I die? I don't. I do. So, That's the entire reason why I die here, guys. And this is why I think it's really good for you to observe my gameplay, is because I do a lot of great things, but I also do a lot of really fucking stupid things. And if you can learn from my stupidity, it can help prevent you from making those same stupid mistakes in your games. Playing too aggressively there. Was not going off of cooldowns, was not going off abilities, not doing any of that. So my Reaper here got 2. So now we're in a kind of a weird situation. My Reaper got 2, but he died, and my Yari's up here. So now, if we were to take this, I think this would be a 3v3. This would be a 3v3. So I forget if I go in here or not. I think I do, because I'm an aggressive little fuck like that. So here, I'm not going to continue to aggress, because we don't have enough manpower. They have a closer spawn, which means they're going to get back faster. And, you know, I have an Yari with me. She's going to be doing 0 ranged healing, and her pylon's going to be somewhere that's not going to heal me actively while I'm up there. And it's not like I got anybody that weak to be able to just try and, make the chaos happen. So I forget about it and just walk backwards. So this is actually genuinely a good decision by me. I went up there, got the pressure off the Yari, put it on me, and my Yari gets out scot-free. That's another thing that you need to do, guys, is take pressure off of your teammates by playing tank, taking advantage of space and abilities. Beautiful nade by my Ana. So I hold out my block that entire time because they had Lucio beat. And if I were to just try and go at them when they had Lucio beat up, I was going to get cucked there. Easy elims. My team's making a lot of really, really good plays, which makes playing this game a lot easier, right? I'm making plays. My teammates are making plays. Everything's going fantastic this game for us, at least in the second half. Sojourn comes up here and is just having a bad day. Just having a bad day. I think the Sojourn was pretty good about it. I don't think she really she said some things that, let me know that she was frustrated. Yo, where did my wall go? Did it blow up? Wait, what happened here? Oh. Okay. I did not know I clicked E here. If I would have had my wall, I thought I was going to use my wall, so I tried looking at the ground to shoot it there, which would have been the play. I messed it up. Once again, guys, I make as many mistakes as I do good things, right? Okay. Me being a little bit toxic. And now I'm just playing dumb aggressive. Forcing out abilities. As soon as these abilities come out, I'm immediately backing away, using my block, getting the fuck out. And then if I need to, I'd use my jump to actually get out, which I do. Right? So Hazard's really good at kiting. Once you see people laying down abilities and ultimates like that, and you have your jump, just get the fuck out of there. You don't need to fight that, right? They have an advantage over you. Don't play into their advantage. So just really trying to put pressure on that soldier. Because I know, he's ulting. Just trying to really taking advantage of it. And that's the end of the game. So, couple key things here. Treat space and your HP as resources. They are the same things as having abilities, guys. They are the same things, okay? They're all resources. Treat them like resources. Please. Play aggressively, but don't play dumb, okay? Take the space when you can, when you have the resources to do it, but don't overextend like I did a decent amount in this game. Force the enemy team to use abilities and ultimates before they want to, and then you can take advantage of it. Using your mobility to scout people out, close the distance, and really, really, really avoid bad situations when they start popping ultimates, abilities. Get the fuck out of there, right? And then go back in once they're all done, baby. That's what we fucking do. Take advantage of the chaos. What else is there? Using your wall. There's multiple ways to use your wall. Use it to block people off. Use it to protect yourself. There's a good couple of times in these games where I use my wall just to save my own ass, dog. Just to save my own fucking ass. But I appreciate all of you listening. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I read through all of them. And yeah, I love you guys. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.